people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen. How dare you?
Don't mind me, I'm just doing some cringe farming. First of all, let me apologize for all the regrettable things I am about to say. I disavow everything I am saying, and I wish to move on from these regrettable comments I am about to make. I disavow myself, and I wish to distance myself from myself. Oh, this is a mentally ill 16-year-old with a PhD. She has dual PhDs in atmospheric physics and geophysics, and she studied ice core data and partial pressures of carbon dioxide in the aqueous geochemistry of natural waters in the carbon sink process of the ocean. Oh, no, wait. She doesn't have dual PhDs in geophysics and atmospheric physics. She doesn't have a PhD at all in any type of physics or computer modeling or mathematics, or in fact, any STEM degree. She's actually just a 16-year-old autistic girl or with Asperger's, I don't know, mentally, some kind of mental illness. No matter what CNN or Fox says, yes, it is a mental illness. If you have something mentally wrong with you, that's usually called a mental illness. I'm not trying to shame her mental illness, but she needs treatment. She needs help. When you get your PhDs in physics or geology or geomorphology or whatever deals with climate science, and you've done postdoc research for 10, 20 years, and you publish, you've been peer-reviewed, published in scientific papers for decades or two, we'll talk about the carbon cycle. We'll talk about anthropogenic climate change. Get back to me. That's all I'm saying. She's, a few years in school. Anyway, I saw a bit of Ethan's stream this morning, and he attacked Edwin, his old friend, Mr. Edwin Boyette. EVS was responding to a video that Edwin made, except EVS was purposely misconstruing what Edwin was saying. Some people have been giving me a little bit of poop, I guess, because I constantly defend EVS. Not that he needs me defending him, but my reasoning being that EVS has helped so many people in their campaigns, it should buy EVS a little slack. But people in my comments are saying that EVS has been lashing out at people for a while now, and I just haven't been paying attention to it because I'm not on Twitter, so I don't see it. I only I lurk on Twitter every once in a while when I need to cover a story. Here is the thing. When you're constantly meeting a-holes, I wish I could swear on YouTube, it's a good chance that the problem is you. The other day, EVS was spurging out at a small creator, as I made a video the other day, who mentioned that he was a bit annoyed that the book was so late, and that some people were getting their books later sales before the earlier sales. EVS should just have apologized and said it won't happen again. But EVS went off on the customer. Then War Campaign jumped in and attacked him also. The whole exchange really surprised me. I was shocked to see how cruel EVS was acting to a customer with under 1,000 subs. Even other people were wondering if EVS's account got hacked. And then this morning, I saw EVS attack Edwin for an hour. EVS is responding to a video Edwin made. Now, I don't have time to watch all the other Comicsgate channels, but I did manage to watch the one that EVS is responding to. I don't know how to say this, but I think EVS is purposefully misconstruing Edwin so he could strawman and attack him. EVS also did this weird manipulative technique that SJWs do. EVS brought Zach into the argument and strawmanned Edwin's argument to get the crowd to defend Zach and thus defend EVS. It's similar to what he did the other day with the Mark Pellegrini tweet. EVS tagged the Brightwisers into the drama. And, it's one thing if he wants to go after Pellegrini for liking a stupid tweet. Hey, all power to him, but there's no need to tag in other people. This caught people's attention. Why would EVS do this? Why even mention that Mark Pellegrini, that he liked a comment that made a joke at your expense? Even if you want to give Mark Pellegrini some feedback, go ahead, but leave the Brightwisers out of the story. It didn't make sense to drag other people into it. And with the Mark Pellegrini thing, just, all right, you remember his name in the back of your mind. Like, this is a guy who doesn't like me. This is a guy I don't want to work with. No problem. We'll move on, and I'll just keep stacking money and selling books that everybody likes. Edwin was making a point that if EVS had listened to the whole video, it was an hour, but if you listened to it and carefully thought about it, Edwin was saying, these people on Twitter, they can't hurt you. You're a multi-millionaire, successful comic book artist with 100,000 plus followers. You got all the success in the world, and you're fighting with people on Twitter like a kid. I mean, he didn't say that. I'm saying that. Edwin was nothing but polite to the guy, and for EVS to just go off on him, I was and am shocked to see EVS's behave this way to customers and his old friends. EVS would watch a few seconds of Edwin's video, then EVS brutally go off on his old friend. But like I said, I was lucky enough to catch Edwin's live stream. I saw the whole thing. Edwin was nothing but mature and kind when discussing EVS, which EVS would know if he had actually watched the whole video. Even in the few minutes that EVS showed Edwin's video, it wasn't supporting EVS's argument. I felt like I was in an episode of The Twilight Zone. I think I had a complete misunderstanding of who EVS was. EVS is accusing Edwin of things that just never happened. EVS said that Edwin thought that War Campaign had doxed him, and that it was in Edwin's Twitter. So I punched up Edwin's Twitter page, and I found the tweets. They don't say what Ethan claimed they said. A third party mentioned the theory that War Campaign was behind the doxing. Edwin didn't say it was his idea. So, for some reason, Ethan made a claim about Edwin that isn't supported by the evidence. But then, while EVS was live, he looked up Edwin's Twitter and he said he couldn't find the tweets. But I found them in a few seconds. So what is going on here? EVS made a statement where he said that he feels divinely guided and other people surrounding him are sinking into darkness. That was pretty weird. But it was at 5 in the morning, so, it's not that big a deal. It's just a little odd. Now, if you look at the platform that is causing the problem, it's Twitter. If it wasn't for Twitter, EVS would never have had problems with Doug TenNapel, Mike Miller, Edwin Boyette, War Campaign, Robert Willing, and a bunch of other people in Comicsgate. If you could solve these problems by simply getting off Twitter, why not do it? Listen to Zach's advice. When you're fighting with a dozen people, the problem isn't the dozen people, the problem is you. I like EVS, but he wants to control Comicsgate and control everyone in Comicsgate. EVS has a habit of fighting with his friends. Doug TenNapel, Mike Miller, Edwin Boyette were his friends just a few months ago, and I assume that since they were all adults, they would all act like mature adults. Now, I'm not saying who is at fault, because it's both sides have acted a bit silly. I think if EVS would just let the other people in Comicsgate alone, he doesn't need to comment on their tweets. EVS isn't responsible for other people in Comicsgate because EVS doesn't control Comicsgate. Nobody does. Mike and the rest of the guys are adults. If they want to post spicy Christian tweets on Twitter, let them. If Tim Lim wants to make a bunny book about Trump, let him. Who cares? Or even if you choose to give people feedback, do it in private. Stop airing the dirty laundry of Comicsgate, where Renfamous can read them. I'm sure she is fapping furiously at the thought of Comicsgate infighting. Please don't imagine Renfamous furiously beating her meat while yelling, "Damn you, Comicsgate!" Again, I like EVS, Mike, and most everyone associated with Comicsgate, and I don't want to cancel anyone, not that I have the power to do so. Let's just all take a step back from telling other people what to do. Perhaps take a long break from Twitter and focus on YouTube. I apologize if I offended anyone. This is just my 2 cents, and I'm just some asshole on Twitter. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, all the kind of stuff. Here's the thing. The common factor, nucleus, vector, seems to be EVS and Twitter. And if you adjust one of those variables, you might be able to get a different outcome. Listen, friendships are they're worth a lot. And when I saw these guys, Mike Miller, Doug, and a bunch of other people who were friends with EVS, they were buddies. And to see them arguing now is just really, really bizarre to me. And I like Doug TenNapel can be a little spicy, and I don't understand him not thanking EVS when he did that speech, but if I was Doug, I just would apologize. I just would have simply said, you know what, I got up there, I'm not comfortable public speaking, I got nervous, I got flustered, I just forgot. And then I would publicly thank him on Twitter, or publicly make a YouTube video and thank him and thank whoever else, all the Comicsgate people who helped me out. Always thank the people who helped you out. But EVS probably should have just let it go. I mean, the people don't have to thank you publicly if they still are hanging out with you and appearing on your show and you're appearing on your show. Well, that is a public acknowledgement that you're accepting of their behavior. They don't need to actually say thank you for all of your help. I mean, not so much. It would have been cool, but it's not absolutely critical. Okay, the cost of friendship and the value of Twitter. How much he made a video where he said he didn't want to get off Twitter because he was concerned about how much business Twitter was bringing in to his Comicsgate projects. I don't think it's bringing in that much, but even if it's bringing in 1% of the total gross, you got to look at, like, you've argued with about a dozen people who helped you and who you've helped, and so you're the nucleus of these arguments, and Twitter is what helps the arguments propagate. Just get off Twitter. If you could get off Twitter and you lose a few percentages points off your next campaign, but you maintain friendships with guys who you're probably going to know the next 20 years, and who you might do projects with, Mike Miller, Doug TenNapel, who knows, even Edwin Boyette might have a project. And it just, the business aside, just the money aside, you have so much money. You're going to make $1 million this year, gross $1 million this year. You're going to gross $1 million next year. You're probably going to be grossing $1 million for a long, long time. There's no need for you. You don't need the extra $50,000 that comes in Twitter at the cost of losing friendships with a dozen people, especially those 3 guys these guys were your buddies, and you're the one who's alienating them. I mean, obviously the problem is you're probably the source of the problem, and Twitter is probably the thing that's exacerbating it. Like I said, I always defend EVS because the SJWs will do a thing where no matter how many good deeds you've done in the past, if you make one faux pas, you're dead. You're dead to them. You are canceled forever. Normal adults don't act like that. If I see someone like this Carson King kid who raised $1 million for charity, for a charitable hospital, made some stupid tweets. So what? He raised $1 million. That buys a lot of forgiveness. Ethan Van Sciver has helped people raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. People whose dreams of making comic books, he helped them achieve those dreams. Can he be a little bit of a jerk, a little prima donna, a little bit of an ego? Of course. So can I. I'm a total douchebag sometimes. But he's helped so many people. I look at it and say, you know what? Yeah, all right, let's cut him some slack. Let's just give him some feedback. Say, hey, you know what? Get off Twitter. You'll be a nicer guy. It'll be better for your mental health, better for everyone's health. Anyway, again, sorry if I offended anyone, and I disavow, especially myself. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys all next episode.